Hello, my name's Mayo and I'm a volunteer with Bush Heritage.
I'm Ian Mayo. I'm also a volunteer with Bush Heritage.
For Ian and I, we've been volunteering now for a number of years, and our specialty has become pulling out old fences. To date, we've done about 60 kilometres of them, both barbed wire and plain, and we've decided to make a little movie to show you how we do it. Because lots of people ask us how we do it, and they seem to be, well, I wouldn't say in awe of us doing it, but they seem to be surprised that two people like us are capable of pulling out old fences. Because we came as volunteers with no other skills. We've both worked behind desks all our lives. We don't do gym, we don't do sport, we're not beefy. In fact, we're both
Speak for yourself.
We're both a bit on the skinny side. We've not got much weight behind us, but we've worked out a way of pulling out fences that we feel is efficient. It doesn't take much effort, and quite frankly, if we can do it, you can do it. As long as you're happy to walk on uneven ground for a few kilometres a day, say up to 4 kilometres a day, you can pull out fences. Anyway, Ian's going to tell you why we pull out fences.
Well, as Annie intimated, that really it's based on our skill level, which was for Bush Heritage volunteers probably close to zero. So the opportunity to volunteer was very important to us, and doing something worthwhile was also very important to us. So pulling out fences was suggested. We said we'd give it a go, and we have found it really worthwhile. And we walk away from doing a day's worth of fences really satisfied that we have made a difference on Bush Heritage reserves.
Not only that, but we also get to go to places that most people don't get to go to. We really enjoy that, don't we, love? Yes. So what is it we enjoy about being off there, out in the bush?
Well, I think because a lot of the work we've done are on the larger, more remote reserves of Bush Heritage, like Ether Booker and Craven's Peak out in far west Queensland, for example. The thing that I like personally is that it takes you out to those places that normally you wouldn't bother going to, or normally you wouldn't feel confident enough to go to. But going out there and not just driving around looking at things like sand dunes and that, but actually spending time, lots of time, out in those wonderful areas, remote areas, has its big reward for me in particular. And I think it's a way of truly appreciating the worth and benefits of the work that Bush Heritage does to these remote reserves. That makes the most difference to me.
Okay, so hopefully we've whet your appetite, and so we're now going to show you how to pull out a fence. Now we're doing this ourselves, this little video, so I'm going to get up now and switch it off. Hello, you're about to watch part 1 of how to remove unwanted fences. In part 1, you're going to find out what you should be wearing, what tools you're going to be using. There'll be a general introduction onto what sort of fences you might find when you go out there. And last but not least, how to clean up after you've actually pulled down the fence. The videos on the actual different types of fences, they're separate, so they're in parts 2, 3, etc. So this is the one you need to see for general overview. So anyway, look forward to you enjoying it. Okay, bye. Okay, I'm going to show you what you wear when you go fencing. So as you can see, it's not glamorous, so you don't need fancy clothes. To start off with, you're going to have a nice broad-brimmed hat because you're going to be out in the sun all day, so you need to keep the sun off your head and your face. You need sunscreen. Wherever you're exposed, you'll need sunscreen. You won't need it on your hands because you'll have gloves on. Glasses. Now Ian and I wear large frame spectacles. If you have small frame spectacles, or you don't wear spectacles at all, you'll either need large frame sunglasses or safety glasses, but you'll need something to protect your eyes because you're working with wire and it can flick back and hit you in the eye, and you certainly don't want that happening. When it comes to clothes, Ian and I have op-shop buys. Long sleeve shirt, because you need to protect your arms, again from the wire and from especially barbed wire. Don't wear shorts, long sleeved pants for the same reason, you want to protect your pants. And just old things, they're going to get very dirty and they may even get torn. I'm just showing you gaiters here. I don't actually need them for the job that we're doing at the moment, but they are useful if you're working in spinifex or you're working where there's lots of seed, because they get in your socks, which aren't very nice. When it comes to socks, you're going to be on your feet all day, you're going to be walking all day, you want comfortable feet. We found good thick socks are a good thing, and then your boots, best have good work boots, good leather work boots, a bit of a protection around your heel because you're on uneven ground all day and you could twist your ankle, and certainly good thick heels and good thick soles. When you're working, you sort of, when you're setting up a roll of wire, you sort of kick in with your foot to put your foot on the roll of wire, and you want something that's going to protect your feet. I don't think sort of athletic shoes are good enough, the soles aren't thick enough. I think that's all for feet. One of these, a fly hat, they're very good because there's certainly lots of flies around, or there generally are, and once you get hot and sweaty they're going to absolutely love you. So they're very good to protect you from the flies. And then last but not least, there are your gloves. We recommend these leather rigger gloves, they're what they're called when you buy them. You can pay a lot of money for gloves, and we found that really the cheaper ones are adequate, and because what's going to happen is they're actually going to fall apart at the stitching. In fact, like these have fallen apart at the stitching on the end of the finger, and usually they actually fall apart here first on the thumb, because when you're rolling the wire that takes the brunt of the work. We find a pair of gloves like this will last us a week to 10 days worth of work, and then you just have to change them. I wouldn't go for canvas. I wouldn't wear like gardening gloves or anything like that. They have to be good quality leather. And the other thing I wouldn't try, we've discovered recently, I picked up a pair of pigskin gloves. Now pigskin is like a grey sort of leather, and it has a large hole where the bristles have been. And I discovered very quickly that in my thumb, the barb of the barbed wire very easily found the holes in the pigskin and just buried the way through and got into my thumb, so they're not such a good idea either. If you've got small hands, one good idea is to put some lightweight cotton gloves on first and then put your hand into the bigger leather glove, and that'll keep them nice and tight on your hands. So that's what you need to wear. Now as far as tools go, mainly it's bolt cutters. They'll be supplied by Bush Heritage generally. We actually have our own. We found that the cheaper ones don't last as well. These are a better quality. We're hoping they're going to last longer than the others did. And there's just a truck going past at the moment, so I'll just be quiet while that trundles by. We're filming this at Charles Darwin Reserve, and across the road there's a big mine. So we have big trucks going past all the time. You'll see we've got fluoro tape on our tools. When you're working with your tools, you put them on the ground, and these are alright I suppose because they're bright blue. Well, it does help you just to see your tool again if you've put them on the ground. It just helps identify them. The other tools you may need, depending on the fence, and this is where you just assess your fence first. These are smaller little wire cutters. They're quite handy. Again, we've put the orange tape on. And these are ours. These aren't ours, these belong to Charles Darwin Reserve. This is just a little plain ordinary screwdriver and a small set of pliers. Again, you might want to put a bit of tape on them if you're taking them out with you, because they would be easily lost in a pile of debris on the floor. Okay, so that's what you need to wear. We'll now move on to talking about fences. Before we start talking about how to pull out a fence, I'm just going to give a brief talk about fences themselves. Ian and I have come to the conclusion that there's as many variations on fences as there are fencing contractors. And there's anything from all barbed wire fences to all plain wire fences to a bit of a combination of both, as this is. There are different types of posts. You might have wooden posts, you might have what are called star pickets, which are metal posts. You might have the wire going through the holes of the post, you might have the wire attached to the post rather than going through holes. You might have a bit of ring lock. You might have, there's like a wider ring lock that's not quite so close. We came across that the other day. Then between the posts, often there's a thing called a dropper or a spacer, and that holds the wires apart to sort of keep the fence in order between the posts. So then you've got to take those off as well. So really, this little film that we're making shows you a wide range of types of fences and how to actually remove them, but we can't cover everything. So it's up to you to go along, look at the fence, think about what we've said, and work out the most efficient and safe way of removing it. You just need to have some sort of process that gets you into a nice roll and a rhythm for moving the fence, and before you know it, it'll be morning tea and you'll have a whole fence removed. Okay, on to the next bit. Okay, so when you've rolled your wire, you've just got to leave it somewhere to be picked up later. It'll either you'll be doing it in one process, which is what Ian and I are doing on this bit of wire. We've got the ute, and we've also got a trailer, and we're just loading it into the trailer as we go, which is a really convenient and efficient way of doing it. Sometimes there isn't the gear, there isn't a spare trailer or whatever for you to do that, and you have to leave the fencing wire for somebody else to collect or for you to collect at a later time. Our recommendation is you always leave your fencing wire up against a post. Now if the posts are falling down, you'll probably be taking those with you, so you'll be lying those on the ground. Put the fencing wire with them. So just against the track, don't put them in the track, because that's not a good idea. Just against the track, somewhere where they're not hidden by bushes or anything, in a fairly open spot, so that they're easy to see. And if you've got droppers with you as well, put them separately. Don't just pile everything willy-nilly, just keep it nice and tidy. The tidier you leave things, the easier it is to collect, the shorter the job is. Okay, on to the next bit. Okay, so what Ian and I would normally do is the vehicle would be parked, we'd pull out about 100 metres of fence, we'd stack the fencing wire up against the fence posts, then we'd walk back to the vehicle. This is if we've got a trailer with us. Walk back to the vehicle, and then as we're driving back, I would stack the stuff into the back of the trailer while Ian's driving along. Now, in this particular case, we're not really collecting these, we're leaving them behind because of just the situation. But we're going to show you how you would normally stack if you're bringing the fence posts in as well. Sometimes you've got star pickets, you've got droppers, you've got all sorts of things. So the wire, we drop in one end of the ute, and the fence posts we put in the other. And we try very hard not to mix the two, because when you come to unload it at the other end, at the tip area on the station, it's much easier if you do. Sorry, I sound like I'm out of breath, but I'm trying not to breathe in so I don't breathe in a fly. It's much easier if you keep all this separate, so that when you get to the other end, it's easier to take the stuff out of it. It's not all sort of piled up. So keep everything as neat as you can, because there's one thing is sure: wire will tangle up with itself. So yes, just try and keep it as neat as you can. All right, thank you.